Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beer Diplomacy. My name is Stuart Tract, and we have been on quite a long hiatus, but I am happy to say we're back with a new rig and new guests. Well, one of them isn't so new, but we're very happy to have him as well, of course. So let's give a warm welcome to our guest tonight, returning for the third time, the champion in the bottom left corner, Richard DeBartolo, Mad's Maddest Writer. How are you doing tonight, Dick?
Good. Richard, oh my God. Yeah, Dick DeBartolo, Mad's Maddest Writer. And the Giz Whiz being suckered into coming back for the third time.
Yeah, well, you know, I guess just a polite email always does the trick.
Yeah. Hey, Dick, I'm desperate. Everybody turn me down, please.
That was kind of it. Yeah, please, you're my Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. Well, thank you again for being here, Dick. It's always a pleasure to have not just one but two Brooklyn boys in the house tonight.
Yeah.
Let's give a warm welcome to Bill Corbett. Hey, Bill, how's it going, man?
Hey, Stuart, very good. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Let's so we know you from a couple of places. Where's tell us a little bit about yourself, Bill.
Well, you might know me from the show Mystery Science Theater 3000. I was a writer for it and one of the voices of one of the little robots, Crow. Right now I'm working with Riff Tracks with my old colleagues Michael J. Nelson and Kevin Murphy. So you can find us at rifftracks.com.
Very cool. And you and I did an infamous episode of Forecast a month or so ago. That was quite fun. So good to hook up with you there, and definitely an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And we're kind of, for those in the chat room and those listening and watching along later, we're going off of topics that were supposed to be from last week, and then we're going to riff on whatever else is going on now. But you can find those at delicious.com/beerdiplomacy/89. Yes, this is episode 89. And since we are talking about what's going on in the world, it's hard to notice anything other than the big game yesterday. I don't even know if I can say the name of that game due to all the copywriting going on, but I guess that's the first topic.
You would be wrestled to the ground by a team of lawyers immediately.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about. And you're on my show, so you can say it. I'll take the brunt of it. But what's the deal with not being able to use the word Super Bowl at all if you're any sort of corporation? How do you guys feel about that?
Actually, the only thing I watched were the commercials. I saw none of the game. I saw maybe 5 minutes of the halftime.
Right, so three fellow New Yorkers, none of us had a stake in that game. Well, did you have a stake in that game, Bill?
A little bit. My family are big New York Giants fans, so I was kind of watching in sympathy with them as much as anything else. I just learned this year about this whole "you can't say the Super Bowl" thing. It's like saying Voldemort. Apparently, you just if you say it, you invoke a team of business goons. It seems really counterintuitive to me that the more you get that name out, the better. But I guess they kind of want that brand for themselves, huh?
I tend to agree with you, especially with the onset of Twitter and the trending hashtag of Super Bowl. I mean, you have all these other people using it. Why, but you can't jump on that bandwagon, so to speak. I actually use social media as a tool for a lot of clients, and we had to be especially sensitive with this. I did a lot of research, and in the research it said you could actually use it editorially. And even though one of the clients that I'm representing has a website that is strictly editorial, they were so afraid to use it. And I can't say I blame them, because who wants to incur the wrath of the NFL?
Right.
How do you feel about that, Dick? Just using a name like Super Bowl, copywriting it, and not allowing any brand ever to attach themselves to it or even just use it in any way?
Well, my feeling is that all those giant corporations have a lot of high-priced lawyers on the payroll who have nothing to do except let's see if we can make some rules that will really protect us in stupid ways. And I think, it's really, to my mind, ridiculous. And when you say editorial, you can say, like, I watched the Super Bowl. You can say that because...
Right, so I can't promote my product in conjunction with the game, lest I incur that wrath.
So people are saying things
you
like,
can't say that this podcast is the Super Bowl of podcasts, right?
No, I would definitely not be able to say that, and I sure as hell can't say that this podcast is the official beer-laden politics podcast of the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay. Well, then I could understand. Yeah, but doesn't Cadillac have the same thing where they sue people that go that we're the Cadillac of podcast, or
Yeah, I would
we're the
think that's.
Cadillac of fertilizer?
I mean, that's very true, but I would say that's. I don't know. Is there any difference there? I mean, Cadillac is. I don't know. I mean, Super and Bowl seem to me to be two
Yes,
words.
yeah,
that-
no, you're absolutely right. Super and Bowl. As a matter of fact, it is interesting because at one time I was the gadget and gizmo guy, and then somebody said, "Well, you really should copyright who you are," and I tried to copyright that, and they said you cannot copyright regular words. So then I came up with the giz whiz, which really aren't two words that occur in the dictionary, and whiz spelled W-I-Z. So it became a unique word that could be copyrighted. But super, I guess used together, Super Bowl to most people just is the game.
I'm going to start calling it the Super Freaking Bowl, and maybe that'll get.
There
me
you
out of
could do
trouble,
that.
right?
You
There
could
you
also
go.
call it the super.
You could have
in
you could
quotes
have
bowl.
the Super Freaking Bowl of podcast. I don't think
That's
anyone's
right.
going to argue with
Yeah.
that.
Just you got to make sure you throw the little F word in there in the middle. Though.
Yeah, get that F word in there.
So, oh look at that, my camera's gone now, but we'll keep it on you guys then. So, what about these commercials then, Dick? You said you watched all the commercials. What are your
I
thoughts
watched
there?
most of them. The Jerry Seinfeld thing, amazing production value, almost nothing about the car, but amazing. And I like the Jay Leno thing at the end. That was very clever.
So, your favorite then would be the Seinfeld one.
The Seinfeld one, or the dog. It's so funny. I don't even remember what it was for. Oh, it was for a Volkswagen. The dog trying to get out through the doggy door and won't fit.
See, I was disappointed with that commercial. That was the big Star Wars
treadmill. That was kind of fun.
thing. Bill, before we get into like debating individual commercials, what was your favorite one of the night?
I didn't see them all. I came in about halfway through the game. I think the most amazing one was the Clint Eastwood car commercial. Just for the pure, I don't know. It was pretty good filmically, but it set off a big political firestorm today, apparently, because it basically said Chrysler's back. Thank you all you Americans who made it possible. But when you have Clint Eastwood up there, he kind of represents gritty America. So I think people who were not anxious to give anybody credit for the Chrysler bailout were probably not happy about that. I think Karl Rove actually complained about it today.
Really, I found it interesting just in the wording because he said something about America, it's halftime, and that kind of made me feel like, well, what do we do then in 600 years? Is it just, it's over? I mean,
I know, yeah. He put a clock on civilization, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, in the year where we're expecting the world to end, anyway, I guess to find out that we're only at the halfway point isn't so bad.
Well, if anybody
No,
would
I was
know
going
it,
to
it would
say,
be
the
Clint
way the
Eastwood.
world is going, if this is halftime, we're in luck.
Yeah.
That's funny. So Dick, you like that? I have to agree. I think that Acura commercial, was that the one with Seinfeld and Jay Leno? To me, that
No,
was-
what?
Yeah.
Was it Acura? I mean, it was a
the new-
great looking car. You only saw the car like at the very end, a couple of shots
The
of it.
new
It is
NSX, I think, is
one
the car that it was.
sexy car, yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I tend to think that might have been my favorite as well. What do you guys think about these GoDaddy ads? Do they just need to
The
go
GoDaddy
away?
things are amazing. I really have a feeling someone is saying, how can we make the crappiest possible commercial in every single way? And that, it's like the person who does something, it's an acting out. It's like a national acting out. Because, the sexism, that's not tasteful, obviously. It's kind of stupid. But it's also just badly shot and has a dumb message. And it's like they're just hitting us in the face with dumbness to get attention.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was thinking about it as well, is that, look at some of these other commercials that are using sex to sell, and they're just better. They have better lighting.
Yeah.
I mean, these days, it's 2012, and we can take better pictures with our iPhones, and they're still like,
But I was surprised that there was not more flack about the flowers commercial for Valentine's Day, where the girl is
Right.
getting dressed up in all these sexy clothing and the perfume, and looking at the
Supermodel.
flowers that she got and says, when you give, you get. You know, so
Well, yeah, they were,
It's
I
a
saw
pretty
something-
blunt
bouquet
formulation.
of flowers, and I'm going to get lucky. I thought,
That's all it takes. You didn't know that, Dick?
well,
It's easy, man.
I knew it, but I didn't think everybody else was going to
I mean,
actually.
and the three of us have been thinking it's just humor that will get us by.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
All this
Doesn't
time
work.
I've been
Nope.
messing up.
It's flowers.
Yeah. Well, humor we can get for free. Flowers are a
I know,
fortune.
That's very true.
Right?
And then you buy those cheap ones in the Penn Station, and they're half dead by the time you get there.
Yeah.
It's more harm than good.
Yeah.
So, what about what do you guys think about these E-Trade commercials? I saw it, and it's like, to me, it was like another talking baby commercial. When
Well, they
Is this
started
like
them, didn't
year
they?
15 of the talking
Yeah.
baby?
Yeah.
I mean-
I don't mind them, but certainly there's going to be nothing new in them.
Yeah.
It's like we have 9 million feet of footage of the baby. We could have him recite the Bible if we want.
I don't even think it's a real baby. I think it's all After Effects and all that. All that good
could be.
stuff.
I think it's a real baby who really talks.
Well, that's why
And
they
it-
keep.
Oh,
using it.
that's
You know
interesting.
what?
Frightens me greatly.
Yeah, if I had a real baby that could talk, I'd probably keep using it as well. It would never get old.
And stays a baby.
That's good. That would be good.
So
I think the thing is never to put them on real food. That would help let them not grow up.
it's funny. I was
27 and I'm still eating pablum.
I was thinking before. You mentioned that you liked the commercial with the dog chasing the car.
Yes.
And I would say on its own, it's actually a very cool, unique commercial. But I'd say, 3 weeks before the game, they teased something else where they had, if you remember, all the dogs barking the Star Wars theme, the Emperor theme.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This was
that's sort
the
of
attachment
becoming
to it.
another problem is that the commercials now, who's going to be the first to break the commercial? Who's going to see it before the Super Bowl? I guess they can do whatever they want because I knew they were expensive. But do you know how much they cost? Because I heard on the radio this morning, and it's far
I
beyond
didn't
where
hear
I
this
thought
year.
they had ended up price-wise.
Are you talking about just for the airtime now, or are you talking about production?
Well,
costs?
I don't know. The announcer, at least on WINS, they were talking about this, and they said at $3.5 million per 30 seconds of airtime.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
That's crazy.
So I'm assuming that producing the commercial is a totally other expense.
So, what did you think, though? I mean, this is coming from I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, and when they tease this commercial that they're going to show way before the game, something big for Star Wars, dogs barking the Emperor's theme, and then you get this commercial of the dog training and finally catching the beetle, and the whole Star Wars link is they're watching the commercial in the Mos Eisley Cantina from the original Star Wars episode. It just seemed kind of tacked on to me. Maybe I'm being way too much of a geek here. But it was like kind of
A
a
Star
letdown.
Wars fan? A geek?
Yeah, but it was
Never,
kind of a
never.
letdown. I just thought that they were going to incorporate Star Wars into the actual commercial, and it was just I don't know. I was just,
Well, I think it might have.
I didn't care either way. I like Star Wars, but I'm not a Star Wars geek, and I just thought, there's a lot of makeup. There's a lot of stuff going on. But, I don't think maybe that's not the object, is to make you want to buy the product. It just is sort of
well, right. They're
who
just they're
can get the
connecting
most
with-
votes.
Connect with
It's
Star
more of a
Wars
beauty
people.
contest.
Well, that's the whole brand bowl hashtag that floats around now. It's what the best commercial is. I believe.
Yeah, can you say brand ball? I'm not sure that.
I don't know.
Wait a second. I'm going to register that. Hang on.
You can say brand freaking bowl.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
friend, yeah, that's good.
YouTube, even if you go and look back at the commercials now, they have them on one channel, and there's a thumb up and thumb down. I guess a tool or something that you can click, and they're
You
collecting.
can't
votes
say
on-
thumbs up and thumbs down. You have to say thumb freaking down and thumb freaking up because that's Roger Ebert's.
Yeah, that's very true. See, we're getting there now, and it's
You don't
Soon there
wanna
will be
cross,
nothing.
Big
That's what I
Ebert.
would say.
if we weren't here, we'd have to say beer freaking diplomacy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, were there any other standouts for you guys, or?
I didn't see them all, but I think
I
I
saw
came about
20 of them
10
on
seconds into a commercial where another dog, a little rescue dog, was fetching Budweisers
Yes.
for a party.
That
And
was
that seemed
actually
kind of retro to me. Like, didn't you guys do that a while ago? And I guess the big twist on it was that he was a little rescue dog, which was nice, but it was a long, sort of a long walk to get there.
it's funny that you said
and
that.
I noticed at the end, I felt a little bit at the very end. There was a slash for rescue dogs. Something it looked like part of the money was going to rescue dogs, or at least they were making people aware of rescue dogs. So I did like that.
I'm all for that, sure.
Yeah, I like that as well. I will say I found it to be a little interesting until that part came up. I kept thinking to myself, PETA is going to come after this commercial tomorrow. This dog is running around being a slave for everybody, and the last frame is obviously gets them out of trouble with
Right.
PETA.
Yeah.
So I guess the last one that might be worth talking about is the Ferris Bueller commercial. Do you guys remember they teased this on the web as well?
Boy, did they ever.
It was interesting. I liked the little thing where his boss pulls up next to him and sees Matthew Broderick in his car. But I don't know. It seemed like the movie is so old that
I just think Matthew Broderick,
I thought it was okay. Wasn't
he just
knocked over by it.
he just seemed to be very like lethargic through his performance in that commercial, and therefore I didn't feel it. I don't know.
I just
Yeah.
wonder how many generations they shook off with that one. I mean, if you're under 25 years old, that's probably not a big part of your life.
I would think even-
No.
I
Yeah,
would
I
think
couldn't
even
tell
younger.
if he was just going through it because they gave him a ton of money and he figured, oh, I should do this, or that was supposed to be that he was goofing off and he was just going to be laid back for the day. But as I said, I don't think it was really a great commercial, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that. So I guess
It wasn't freaking terrible.
another question that comes up in all this is Apple did not have a commercial during the Super Bowl, and
Come to think of it.
You know what? What does Apple need? Does Apple need a commercial?
well, it's interesting that you say that. I think I read an article. It was in the New York Times today, specifically about that. And of course, any good publication in this day and age is going to try and stir up some sort of controversy. But in the post Steve Jobs era, the first Super Bowl, and there's no presence from Apple. I mean, do you guys think that there's any significance there to the new guard there, or does it?
No, I think they're saying, why spend $3.5 million when we're pretty much selling everything we can make?
Well, for them, I mean, that's like a can of soda, though. We're talking about the most liquid company.
Yeah, but you know what? They have nothing new right now. So why bother plugging something? Save the money for June or whenever they're going to introduce the next iPad or whatever they're going to do. It's kind of silly, I think, to just say we're still making the iPad 2. We're still making the iPod Touch.
Steve is still not with us anymore.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Steve is still dead.
So since we're talking about Apple, I guess we could use this as a segue into a story that did come out back on January 21st, but it's kind of big in the news and that one is about the production of the iPhones themselves. And it's a story in the New York Times titled How the U.S. Lost Out on iPhone Work. It's a great article. If you guys haven't read it, please check out the Beer Diplomacy feed for the show. And you've got to go through a tweet to get to it because it's behind a paywall, and the only way to get him for free is through a tweet. But I saw a tweet from Michael Moore, and I read this article. It's quite interesting, but it really talks about why Apple is not making phones in the U.S. And I guess the first question for you guys is it worth it? Should Apple bring production back here on the Surface alone with all the jobs we need? Or from what you know about the way these things are made, is it better off where it is right now? Before we get into some of the details of this article.
Well, I think the thing is that if they bring it back, how much more would it cost? Although Channel 7, ABC News, was doing this, might have been a month-long series called Made in America, where they went to someone's house and they said, can we take out of your house everything that wasn't made in America? And then they went along with this, and they ended up seriously with like a rug, a lamp, and a chair. And everything was made elsewhere. And then they went back and redid the house with everything made in America. And they said that it only came to, like 5% more. And that this would, if people did this, it would mean thousands of jobs. So, I don't know what it would cost to buy an iPad if it was made in America. So this sort of thing is beyond me, because I have no idea what labor cost here versus what they pay there.
Well, we can pretty much figure out that there's obviously no minimum wage in China the way there's a minimum wage here. And even if there is, it's a fraction of what it is here. Bill, how do you feel about the statements of, we can do it in China because if we want to make a design change, we can wake our whole staff up at 3 o'clock in the morning because they're living in bunk beds, and they can get on the lines and they can immediately alter these devices, and we can get back to where we were in a matter of minutes as opposed to weeks or months here in the States.
Well, I did read that article, and I remember it's the Foxconn factory, right, which is like the size of 10 football fields. And it's amazing. They wake you up in the middle of the night to make a design change. What did they say? They give them a little biscuit and a cup of tea and pretty much throw them from a sound sleep right onto the line. That sounds pretty disgusting as a way to live to me. And I know they are, people there either threaten to or actually do commit suicide. And didn't the piece sort of springboard off that piece by Mike Daisy, the playwright? Do you know who I mean?
Yes, the guy. He was actually on Bill Maher this week. He wrote that Dear Steve Jobs monologue or something like that.
Yeah, it was, I forget the name of it, but it had Steve Jobs in the title. Mm-hmm. And he started doing it when Steve Jobs was still alive. And he was a former Apple fanboy. He called himself that specifically, who learned about this and went over there and actually did some, shoe leather detective work finding out about Foxconn. And it's obviously it's a bigger question than just Apple right now. About manufacturing in the United States, and I am not an expert. I'm a comedy guy, but whatever the issue is with Apple, I think it's sort of, as Dick was saying, it's a bigger question. Like, is it really that much cheaper to do stuff in third world countries or oppressive countries like China, or is it just are consumers saving any money or not? And if they are, we have to kind of address that.
I think what it comes down to is that the standard of living in these other countries is significantly lower. Not that and that makes it that much easier to get these things done. The way they were talking about being able to immediately make these design changes on the line by waking people up, giving them a biscuit, that just wouldn't fly here in the States.
No,
there's no way that would fly here. I don't think American workers would be willing to submit themselves to such things. And I know, in the back of my head, I'm like, wait, but I saw Roger and Me all those years ago when Michael Moore, or maybe it was the second one where he went after Phil Knight from Nike. I can't remember the name of that movie, but they said, why don't you make your sneakers in Flint, Michigan? And Nike would say, well, Americans don't want to make sneakers. And it turns out, if they have no jobs, they are willing to make sneakers.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I know that I'm arguing both sides of the coin here.
Well, I think it's wise to at least know what the sides are, and you can get, when people need jobs, you can get them to do a lot of stuff that a prosperous country wouldn't do. But is that a good thing overall? To break people down so far that they will take stuff that is, not healthy for them, and makes it hard to raise a family, makes it hard to, keep body and soul together. It depends on the kind of country you want to have.
Well, and Dick, how do you feel? Do you feel that that our government has, whether they meant to or not, I'm going to say inadvertently, and give the government the benefit of the doubt really cause these companies to move all this stuff overseas, thanks to things like NAFTA, which looked really good at the time, thanks to things like the tax breaks and incentives and the not having to pay tax because you're paying your wages overseas, things like, I mean, do you think that we've, like I said, inadvertently destroyed our own manufacturing base because of these things?
You know, I think it's a bigger problem now with so many people so stretched for the dollar. For example, the government, I think, really did help the solar industry to try and get solar products onto the market. The problem is, no matter what, a solar house is going to, you have to put out a lot of money up front to get the benefits later on of lower power. But people don't have that right now. So the solar industry, like at CES, a lot of the people, there were tons of solar products there, but there were not a lot of people looking at them. Everybody was crowded around the OLED TVs. And this is not a trade show. This is a show for retailers who are going to be selling the rest of us this stuff. So to my mind, is even though solar is a great idea, the government actually threw a ton of money at them that I think is down the drain now. But it's very hard to say to people, buy this product and you're helping the ecology, you're saving the forest. They would like to save the forest, but they don't have the money to do it. And it's the same thing like with Walmart. Everybody would love to help the local hardware store, but if something is $10 cheaper at Walmart, you're going to go there. So what you're asking is further, it's harder to do at this place in time because everybody is watching the dollar. And you know, it was so depressing. I heard on the radio this morning that there's a little blip in the economy getting better, and so that the price of cars is going up 6%. The price of this is going up. You know, it's like the working person doesn't seem to be getting a break here.
Well, do you think, though, that, and you know, this is maybe some left-wing communist crap.
Oh, we're so used to that from you.
That's true, but I mean, isn't all of this theoretical to some extent anyway? I mean, there's a reset button, right? Everybody goes to work every day, and really the only thing that really has any sort of value is time. You know, putting a number on something to a certain extent seems quite arbitrary to me when you break it down to its most, like, you know, ridiculously ethereal sense, right? Whatever that just means.
Yeah.
But you know,
well, you know, that would be a wonderful experiment for a factory to open up,
just reset everything,
and say, if you want a job, then you have to come in whatever hours we tell you. And I remember when I bought a boat, someone said to me, "Oh, you got a boat? How did you afford a boat?" I said, "I'm holding down 3 jobs. Why don't you hold down 3 jobs?" And they go, "Oh, I can't work weekends. Oh, I can't work nights. You know, so I didn't care. You know, to me, you had 7 days a week, 24 hours, and it didn't matter if a job fell on a Sunday or a job fell at 4 a.m. I wanted to work. And maybe, like you said, there should be a factory that would hire people that will work any amount of hours, and no matter when those hours fall. If you have a 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. shift, see, you know, in this day and age, you probably get a bunch of people that would say, "Okay, I'm for that."
So Bill, I mean, what do you think about the value of things? I mean, do you think that value in general is just kind of this manufactured ideology that we all just are like custom, you know, have become slave to, so to speak? Or I just, you know, at the end of the day, my thought is if we could get, and you know, you're talking about billions of people, but billions of people would just agree that there's a reset, all of a sudden everything's worth $1. Does it really matter at the end of the day? You know, if you just kind of reset and level the playing field?
Well, I think I think what you value, what each person values, has to be ultimately up to him or her. And you said before, you said something about time, and that it does definitely include time. Like Dick, you were working three jobs to get a boat, maybe. You know,
Yeah.
you could make the argument that, well, when do you when do you get to go in the boat? Maybe you faced that at some point and worked it out to your satisfaction. But I know what you mean. I mean, there is a point at which the price of something, the cost of something, has almost little to do with the value of it. You can see that just in the housing market over the last couple of years. And I don't pretend to be an economist, but just look at what people are paid to play sports or be in movies, and as opposed to say a cop or a fireman or a teacher. Is it really worth multiples and multiples of that? Objectively, no, but that's kind of where we're at right now, and that may change if enough people decide over time to do that. But it's not some organic given thing that things cost what they do and people make what they do for the work that they do.
Well, that's a very good point. So, any last thoughts on Apple and their manufacturing overseas? Or, I mean, I guess ideally, yeah, if we could have it over here, we'd all want it to be here, right?
Yeah.
Right? Totally. Yeah.
That just makes more sense. All right,
But
so,
not in my town.
NIMBY, right?
Yeah.
Not in my
Put it out by
backyard.
Bill. Put it in Bill's backyard.
Keep those Apple hippies away from me.
yeah. So let's move on to an even heavier issue that's been,
Oh yeah,
going on.
didn't he say all the questions are going out the window? This is just going to be nothing but a lighthearted,
Well,
fun
it's always
hour.
lighthearted, but the
I fear that this is lighthearted for you,
No,
Stuart.
well, it's funny. I took a long break, and I was all of a sudden not stressed out anymore, and because I didn't have to think about what's going on in the world. Now I'm here again, and I'm right back in it.
It's all hitting you in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, so everyone knows, and I think it's back now, but the big controversy was that the Susan G. Komen Foundation pulled all their money from Planned Parenthood. There was a huge outcry, and they caved, and now supposedly everything's back where it went. But really what that begs the question more is, where do we draw the line between politics and not-for-profit? And is it right for politics to get or political motivation, so to speak, to get involved in something such as this? My quick answer is no, stay the hell out of it. Whether you believe it's against your religion or against this or against that, there's still a charitable thing going on. They're still helping people. And yet your interests are going to prevent people from getting the help they need. But I was just curious, where you guys fall on this, and do you think we should still hold Komen and their foundation accountable for caving to these political pressures?
I kind of respectfully disagree with you. I think politics, it's fine to have politics as part of it. I mean, it's sort of inescapable. And you could look at it, I'm pro-choice and pretty liberal politically, but I could actually see the argument from the other side being, look, there's politics in it if it's a place that has something to do with abortion. I would argue that, but there's still a political element to that person, whether, whatever I feel. The issue that bugged me about it is sort of as the Komen Foundation seemed to be dishonest about what was going on, because when there's a crisis and it all hits the fan and then you get three very different explanations as to why this happened, then you kind of smell a rat, and it just feels like, well, someone is trying to hide their motivation here. So I'm all for everybody sort of like stating what they want politically, their desired political outcomes, as long as they're kind of upfront about it. And to me, Komen had a really great brand, and I learned later that there's some argument about whether the good they're doing is whether it's cost effective, like they're paying their people too much, not enough of it is going to breast cancer research, et cetera, et cetera. And, there's argument about their branding everything with pink, and whether that is of much good at this point, and whether the money could go into other things rather than making pink, coffee cups and guns. They actually had a pink branded gun. which strikes me as weird. But I think it had a reputation as a very enlightened, sort of nonpartisan, just focused on one thing organization. And then what everybody sniffed is that no, there's a couple of people in there who are actually trying for a sort of political outcome. And in my mind, that is okay. That's permissible as long as you say this is what we're doing and this is why, not try to sneak it with, well, we're reviewing our procedures, and just put it on the table. And then people who give money and are, kind of supportive of the organization can decide, no, I think I want to put this money somewhere else that is not tangled up in this issue. That's my take.
Dick, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I felt the same way. Is that I never even thought about the people there getting huge salaries. I just thought this is a great way to raise money. The pink theme, you see it, you know what the money's for cancer research. And then you kind of forget that it's a nonprofit organization, except the people who are running it are obviously making a lot of money from it. And then you suddenly realize, oh, I guess now instead of having a vision or a pledge or what they're going to do, is we have to sort of make ourselves flexible enough so that we don't upset anybody, so that we can keep getting the amount of donations that we're getting, that some of which will go to cancer research. But we have to think about keeping up our employees, our executives, our buildings. Yes, I think they sort of gave the brand a black eye, because the same as Bill felt. It was a brand that you respected, and now you see that they're kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah, there's a big...
And the other thing is, no matter how you feel, money and politics, things are just going to get bent the way the person with the most power and the most money has. They'll just spin it so you'll think it went the other way. But I get very depressed about money and power just sort of running things the way they want.
I mean, I guess, how does it make you feel to think, though, that the executive of even some of the biggest not-for-profit organizations are pulling in, even at the least, six-figure salaries every year? I mean, should somebody
I saw the bank executives. There was a list of their heads of the big banks. They were like $3 million, $5 million. What? They're not even playing baseball.
Yeah, well, these are guys that are at least managing money. I mean, I'm thinking more about someone like the person who runs this not-for-profit, or people who run NGOs.
Yeah, and it's not unique to Komen, though, too. I mean, any huge organization with somebody at the helm, nonprofit or profit, the person makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, something about that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't
think you're alone. I think just a lot of people don't know about it.
Pretty much any worker in America, when they find out that a president of a company is getting millions and then screws it up, and they go, "Oh, get out. Here, take $30 million and get out."
I mean, if I'm giving you like the last extra $50 of my paycheck because I believe in the forwarding of research for cancer, and then you come to your next gala in a mink stole, I just kind of wonder, where is that money going?
Yeah. And what are you doing wearing a fur anyway? So
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. All right, so let's get back to some more fun stuff. And I don't know, like
this is the most fun I've had in a long time.
Thanks, Dick. So, back to the big game, I guess. Did either of you see the halftime show? There's a lot of debate as to whether it was even good or not.
Well, you're never going to make me love a Madonna show. And I just don't like the music that much.
But
I
she
have
represents
to say,
Brooklyn. I mean, we're all Brooklyn guys here.
She's a Jersey girl. That's a whole different thing. And she's
apparently... Oh, my God. No wonder I didn't like it.
She's apparently repatriated to Great Britain or something, because she has this sort of weird fake British accent now.
That's just so funny.
Actually, I might be wrong. I think she might be a Detroit native, but I'm sure somebody can Google that. The thing that I actually think, I will never like that music particularly, and I don't enjoy shows like that as a rule, but I thought it was a pretty tight thing. And I thought like she should run like a corporation or something, because if she had anything to do with the marshaling of all those people and that, that precision, for what it was okay.
By the way, Bill, I think I have video. Someone just submitted of you singing "Material Girl" in your car last week. So
What? Damn it!
But,
Spies everywhere.
But I have to say I didn't like it. The production of it was ridiculous. I mean, it really was larger than life.
I thought the production was good.
But Madonna, I mean, and I will not say that 50 or 55 or 52 or however old she may be is totally not over the hill. But she was like, it seemed to me like she was dialing in the performance. There was no real enthusiasm at all, and I just expected a much more lively performance from her, which I didn't see.
Well, she got a little lost in that, that gigantic army that was marshaled in front of her.
I guess so. I mean, I guess that could make anyone's head spin. Dick, what did you think overall?
Yeah, you know what? I happen to like that song, so that wasn't a problem. I thought the production number was pretty good, but I will agree is that I don't know if she was lip syncing, but you did have the feeling that it was very mundane. I think she'd probably done it 10,000 times. And also, with all the things that had to happen and all the stages moving, you're probably thinking in the back of your mind, here, I'm singing, but I don't want my foot cut off by this hydraulic stage, and I hope there's 9,000 drummers come in on time, and these
absolutely,
lights are in
and she
my
had
eyes. And
substantial heels on too. So
Yes,
one
yes.
false step and it would have been humiliation in front
Yes.
of billions
Yeah, there
of
was
people.
like a little moment where she did kind of have.
I think she fell for a
almost
second.
fell for a moment, which would have been, the highlight of the game. But
Yeah, and also with electronics, I didn't know how much the audience saw. Like when those kind of little snowflake things that spelled out what peace in the world.
World
or,
peace.
it just seemed very tacked on.
I didn't know
by the way.
if the
was very
audience
tacked
saw
on.
that. Was that added electronically for
I
the
think it was
home
supposed
audience?
to say "buy Coke" and someone just got it wrong or something like that. But
Some saboteur in the control room.
did you guys happen to notice the bird being flipped during that?
Yeah.
I did
performance,
not
by the
notice
way?
until the replay.
I saw it right away. I was
No, but as a friend, a friend of mine was remarking on all the fallout about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, imagine how offensive that was to all the football fans in the stadiums to have to endure seeing someone flip a finger."
Yeah, I mean, that's very true.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in there also where I think CeeLo Green came out and ripped the gold things off of Madonna's skirt, and I just foresaw another like nipple slip moment there. It was, I think, has enough time gone by where you can actually rip the wardrobe off of somebody else now? Apparently it has, and they got it right this time.
I'm just glad they didn't rip it off CeeLo.
Yeah, that would have been pretty bad.
Would have taken some effort too.
So apparently MIA, who flipped the bird, she caved today, and she gave a big apology and all that stuff. And
Did she say why?
I'm scanning through the article. I didn't know that she.
I mean, was it like like Carol Burnett pulling on her ear? She's just thought flipping the bird was for her grandmother in Sweden or something.
I used to flip her the bird every Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah.
my dear
She knew
granny.
that I knew that she was watching when I flipped her the bird.
F you, Grandma.
No,
Yeah.
unfortunately, this article doesn't say too much specifically about the apology, but it does say that she apologized.
Did she say, "I'm sorry if anyone was offended"?
I hope those football fans will forgive me for my gross.
I'm sorry if you were offended.
Yeah, so
They-
I don't know. The whole thing's a mess. But I mean, are we still too sensitive? I mean, I'm quite surprised that it wasn't a bigger deal in the news today. I mean,
You're surprised it wasn't a big deal?
yeah, was it that big? I mean, I don't know. I had a very busy
no.
day, so. Did
Well,
guys
I think any
stop and-
kid who's older than 8 years old has seen it before. So the "what about the children" thing doesn't
Yeah, but
alarm me
the
too
nipple
much.
was
But
a big deal too, right? And that's less blatant than someone actually giving an FU sign to the world, right?
Yeah, it just seemed a little unnecessary. It's like,
Yeah.
well, what are you flipping us off about specifically? What did we
As
do?
you get paid millions of dollars for
Yes.
your 4-minute appearance.
So you actually saw it before anybody
I
pointed
did.
it out.
Yeah, we all noticed it right away. We said, "Oh, look at
Okay.
that! She." Flipped
Well, I
the
was
bird.
actually watching on a very small monitor, so maybe that was the difference.
By the way, Madonna was born in Bay City, Michigan. Apparently,
Ah, all right.
I was wrong.
So we don't have to
so
claim
much.
her.
That's a very far suburb of Brooklyn.
right.
But if you go back and listen to the old tapes of her talking, she did not have that accent.
Oh, not at all. No.
I just, and Elton John doesn't like her, so I don't get it.
What is their feud about? I've
I
heard
think
it
he
referred
wanted
to
to
before.
win. She won for the best song this year or something like that at the Golden Globes or one of those things, and I don't know. He made a snide comment about her, and who knows? They're both queens. So.
Two queens going at each other.
Well, that's funny because during the Elton John commercial, when he was dressed up as the king, my first comment was, "Shouldn't he have been dressed as the queen?"
I'm sure he thought the same thing.
Yeah, I know, right? So what else is going on in the world today, gentlemen? Anything worth talking about? We're getting towards the end of the road here.
Oh my God! I forgot that this is 3 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see what's new. Well, I tell you, the biggest thing from CES is
Go
that
ahead.
if you have cash, they haven't put a price out yet, but the new 55-inch, there are two of them coming out in the fall. The OLED, LG, and I think Toshiba has the other one. OLED flat screen TVs are knockout amazing.
Now,
They are an OLED screen is actually a piece of film. So this is just a piece of film with glass in front of it to protect it, and the entire 55-inch TV weighs 16 and a half pounds.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. It is. That was the talk of the show with those two TV sets.
and how much do you think one of those would run
You
when
know
they
what?
first put them out?
I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna come in around $7,000 to $8,000.
And I mean, what's the benefit? Is it more energy efficient? Do they last longer, or is it just kind of like a thin and weight thing? Or
It's the color rendition is just amazing. You can do like bullet flashes across it, and it can track it. There's no ghosting, no matter how fast the action is.
Wow.
it's
they're
one
just-
film, one solid piece of plastic or whatever it is that they're.
Yes, Sony came out with them 3 years ago, and they had I think a 10-inch, which was $2,500, and at the time they said that it was going to be a very long time before they could come out with a bigger one, and they were talking about trying to do a 25-inch OLED, and somehow they just they bypassed 25-inch and went right to 55. But that was pretty amazing.
And that's your biggest. That's the thing that kind of got you the most.
Well,
excited.
yes, and then if you want, who's going to buy this?
Madonna.
It's called I think it's the iNuke, NUKE, nuclear iPod dock, which is 700 pounds, 10,000 watts, 5 by 8 feet, and cost $30,000.
And you can plug a little iPod into it.
Yes, and it's very funny because Leo Laporte was on Regis Friday, and the company said, "Yeah, we'll bring one to the studio." So it's kind of funny. People can
Wow.
actually get on top of this thing, but yet right in the very, very center is this tiny, tiny little iPod
Can
dock.
you plug anything else into it, or is it solely?
Oh,
an
you
iPod?
could. I'm sure you can plug in an iPad, or I'm sure there's every conceivable input on the back. You could just use it as a monster.
See, I think it'd be
home
more.
theater is my
I think it'd be
guess.
more badass if you could only plug that single device in there.
Yeah.
All right, so gentlemen, what's coming up next for Bill Corbett? What do you have on the what's on the agenda in the next few months? What are you working on? What are you promoting?
Let's see. We have a new title coming out with Riff Track soon. I probably I'm not sure if anybody here knows what we do, but we do that sort of Mystery Science.
Oh, what are you
Theater style.
kidding? I used to MST 3000 Mystery Science Theater. A
We have,
huge fan.
A major title coming out. I think it'll be announced this week. And then we'll probably do another live show in the next couple of months. We do these shows through Fathom movie events, where we're usually in a theater in Nashville, and then they beam it to hundreds of movie theaters around the country. So keep an eye out
Oh,
for
that's
that.
a great idea.
Yeah, it's
Really
fun.
cool. Anything else? So where can we find you on Twitter? At Bill Corbett, right? Any web addresses or, all that stuff?
Yeah, at Bill Corbett on on Twitter and rifftrax.com.
All right, very cool.
RIFFTRAX.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Bill. It's
My
really been a
pleasure, Stuart.
Yeah, finally good to have you here, and everything's good. You're feeling good. I know. You had a. We don't have to get into the details, but your health is good.
I had
and,
a baby. No.
Oh.
Yeah, my health is fine. Thank you.
Very cool. I'm glad to hear that. And Dick. What do you have
Right. Well,
going on, man?
Bill was 5 years in an asylum, but you could not tell it from
I almost
tonight's
became the
performance.
Joker.
Doing the same stuff. Mad Magazine. In the next issue, I have clothing labels you hope you never see. Those little when you buy a product, there's a little label in there. Like you buy an underwear and it says this was sniffed by Inspector 497. Little tags you never want to see. That's going to be in the April issue of Mad. And the weekly daily Gizwiz, my God, continues. Starts year 7 this month, February.
Congratulations.
Is that one?
And-
That's one of, if not the first shows on the network, if I'm not correct.
It was the third
mistaken, right?
show
Yeah.
on Twit with Leo Laporte. So it goes on and on and on. So
Great.
yeah,
Dick, can I just say that I'm so jazzed to share airtime with a Mad Magazine writer?
oh my God! If you come to the city, come up to Mad.
Like most kids, I grew up on it and just loved it.
Oh well, great, thank you. Well, we're still doing it.
Yeah, I
after
will say
all these years.
I was very happy to have both of you guys on here. Bill and I had kind of picked a date, and then when I spoke with you on the phone over Skype a couple of weeks ago, Dick, I said, you know what? How cool would it be to put two guys who really just have a great history of writing real funny
turns
stuff?
out, more amazingly, lived one block apart.
Yep.
In Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. I lived on 77th Street in Bay Ridge, and Bill lived on 76th Street in
Yeah,
Bay
we just
Ridge.
found that out before the show. It's amazing.
And we used to deliver papers to my door and used to steal the milk
yeah.
and climb in the window. I recognized as soon as he came on. I said,
It's that little creep who stole our milk.
creep.
Well, that's what we do here on Beer Diplomacy. We find lost children and bring
Yes.
people together.
Yeah,
And,
no, that's good. That's good.
But yeah, it really has been a pleasure and an honor having both of you guys on here, and
Thank you, Stuart.
would love to have you back at some point down the road.
Oh,
It's
really?
always fun. Yeah. Well, I always ask
Bill,
before I get
Bill
you
and I have
now
a
on-
pact. We'll talk about it.
All right. Well, that's fine. But
Either one of us will do it without the other.
that's probably better. Just email it to me, and I'll put it out without me.
Oh, okay, good. That's
fine.
better.
Yeah. Just say beer freaking
What
diplomacy.
we'll do
when
is
you it.
we'll come up with answers, and then you just make up questions
Oh, that's
that fit
perfect.
them.
That actually
There you
sounds
go.
better. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you for listening in the chat room. Thank you for listening later on. If you are listening to us and don't know where else to find us, check us out on iTunes. Just search for Beer Diplomacy, audio and video. Any questions, comments, ideas for topics or guests, hit us up at beerdiplomacytv@gmail.com. And next week we will have the comedian, political satirist, and all-around funny guy John Fugelsang on the show with another guest to be determined. And thank you again for coming out. Beer Diplomacy, this was episode 89. Have a great week.